The Eastern Townships of Quebec are known for their landscapes, for their activities, for their culture, but most of all, for the great people that live here. So each year, the Young Townships Leader Award recognizes younger citizens who are actively involved in making a difference in their communities, either culturally, socially, or economically, or all the above. And today, we have a conversation with our dynamic 2021 award recipient. Hi there, my name is Humphrey and welcome to About Townshippers. This is a weekly web series where we talk about the organizations, the services, and the topics that are important to English speakers living in Quebec's Eastern Townships. The Young Townships Leader Award is presented annually to at least one townshipper aged 15 to 35 who has really shown leadership within the English-speaking communities in the Eastern Townships through their actions, either at school, at work, or in the wider community. And I recently sat down with Shanna Bernier, who is the 2021 award recipient. Here's our chat. Well, hello there, Shanna, and welcome to About Townshippers.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
What does it mean to you to be the 2021 recipient of the Young Townships Leader Award?
Well, I feel really honored and very grateful, and it feels very special because it's an award that's so close to home and that it means something a lot for me to hear from a community organization when community is such an important thing for me, to have that recognition.
That's a great segue because community seems to be a real underlying theme kind of in everything you do. And that brings me to the townships aspect. Now, you've spent most of your life here in the townships, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I grew up in Richmond and I went to both Champlain and Bishops and I've been living in Sherbrooke for the last decade or so. And so this place, this community of the Eastern Townships really means a lot to me. And it means so much to me that sometimes I get extremely excited when someone is going to be moving here from another part of Quebec or another part of Canada. And I end up sending them extremely enthusiastic emails with all of my favorite places that they should check out. And a new neighbor of mine who recently just moved here from Montreal, we've had a new kind of budding friendship. And she texts me sometimes and says oh, where could I get, what's a good refrigerator repair person? And that makes me excited because it's fun to be able to connect people with local businesses and local services and because the townships I feel is this lovely welcoming place, but that is sometimes a diamond in the rough. Sometimes people don't know about all of the great things that are to be here. And if you've lived in a big city and you move to Sherbrooke or to a smaller community, you might feel where's the culture and where are the arts and what have I done by moving here? But there's so much to be discovered, and even inside of this weird time where so much has been disrupted, there's a lot of beautiful things to enjoy in our community.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because it's been a tough, 15 months for everybody, right? But you've been pretty busy. Tell me about the video conferencing activities that you've been doing.
So I work as my title is Program Support Minister for Youth and Young Adults. I work for the United Church of Canada. And for a pretty wide region, including the townships. And because before the pandemic, so much of what I would have done would be gather teens or kids or young adults in a physical space for a retreat or a workshop or activities, camp. And all of those things were not possible due to the pandemic. So we've had to kind of reinvent how we do community building and to do it online. So the most consistent and in some ways the most critical work that I've been doing for the last 15 months, as you said, which is so wild to say 15 months, has been this sort of online check-in support group for youth and young adults. And so we meet on Thursdays at this point, and we just meet for an hour or two on Zoom, and we go around the digital circle and we talk about how our week's going. At the very beginning, my colleague and I were kind of animating. We have a lot of programming background, so our instinct was to try to fill the time with material, with the a joke of the day, like let's watch this video and chat about it. Let's do some meditation. Let's fill this time with stuff. Let's wear costumes and have themes and do karaoke and trivia. And all those things are fun. And like fun is important. And it's so, especially for kids that have been really inundated with the stress of online school. But what we found they needed most was just empty space where they were safe to talk about how hard things have been and to share just how their week went. And sometimes it's really boring, like not that it's boring to listen to, but sometimes it's just like, yeah, I went to school. I had 3 days online and 2 days in person. It sucked. I couldn't see my friends, you know, I'm tired of wearing a mask. I can't get a summer job, struggling with this, you know, like various normal, mundane teenage angst, but they just having a space to just talk about it. And then my colleague and I resist the urge to fix things. We do sometimes really want to workshop, like, you know, you could do this and that might be, but oftentimes it's just making space to be like, yep, that really sucks. And I hear you. I see that you're struggling and I'm with you. Consequently, we've gotten so close because normally my work is, you know, there's a big space between the time that I would see these kids. I would, you know, we'd have a spring event or a fall event and summer camp, but we wouldn't have a weekly gathering. So it's been another one of these unexpected silver linings to spend so much time together and develop really close relationships.
When I was looking at your background and some of the activities that you've been involved in or that you've instigated, I mean, it's clear that most, if not all of the things that you do involve facilitating, helping, giving of yourself, helping others. I mean, I've got a whole list here. We could start a book. I mean, obviously you've got a talent for developing a community building activities. In your present job, you started off part-time. You've actually built it up to a full-time job, as you said, as province-wide coordinator for youth and young adults. And that's in the United Church of Canada. You've been writing, or you wrote a children's literature column for the Lennoxville Library. You're on the board of the Lennoxville and District Women's Center. I got to get my breath here. Yeah, you're involved in various committees at the Plymouth Trinity United Church. You're also really active in building understanding of what it means to stand up against gender, sexual, and racial justice. When do you sleep?
You didn't even mention that I have 2 small children.
I forgot the children. So that means you don't sleep at all.
I mean, when I read that question, Ed, as you were preparing us for this interview, it actually did make me pause for a moment and say, wow, like, perhaps I need to think about saying no sometimes when people ask me to do stuff. You know, I like being busy, and I think there's a limit to that for sure. It's so important to protect your mental health and to not burn yourself out. The question of when I sleep, I mean, I sleep at night. My brain is always on. I'm always thinking about stuff, and it's really hard sometimes for me to, it's really what's hard for me is to stop working. Like I have trouble with resting.
But as soon as you do, you probably just fall right asleep.
Yeah, I'm sure I have a sleep debt that I need to pay back over time.
Was it a gradual thing? So where did it all start?
So I think I've always been a enthusiastic joiner. I've always loved being a part of stuff. You know, as a kid, you know, that list would have been just as long, but you know, different stuff. I like to sing in the choir and you know, be on the yearbook committee and I've always liked doing creative things and participating in community groups, and I'm very social, very extroverted. I love people. I wanted to be a teacher. I always thought I wanted to be a classroom teacher. Particularly kindergarten for a long time was my dream. I have a degree in fine arts and education. I did have a period of my life where I kind of had to reconcile the reality of classroom teaching and my own personality and the circumstances that I found myself in. And it switched me to a different path, which I've come to see as like, I mean, I'm a person of faith, but I do feel like it was what I was being called to do, that I was more called to this different work that's what I call education adjacent. I do lots of education. I do lots of teaching and
education adjacent.
Yeah. So I'm not a classroom teacher. I call myself a youth worker or a youth minister, but I do lots of education. We talk about important things, psychosocial development things, and world issues, ethical issues, stuff that you mentioned earlier, particularly like gender and sexuality and anti-racism, and talking about the residential school system. Those are all things that are really important issues of the United Church of Canada, and are really important issues that youth are either struggling with or curious about or need more education that's not built into the public school system. So where that passion and interest came from was a lot of people. A couple mentors that I can think of were Sheila Quinn. She was one of my youth workers. She was a person in my community growing up, and she was very involved in like church youth group stuff, but also just other amazing things. And she always really inspired me. And Victoria Moulton, who was another United Church youth worker who was a mentor of mine and lived across the street from me when I was a kid. So it was just a wonderful coincidence that she was there so close to me and was able to sort of invite me to stuff. And her openness and invitation and made me always feel so welcome and so empowered to be a part of things. And built inside of the youth work that I've been doing as a professional for the last decade, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, and I was participating in those programs as a young person, there's a leadership development program inside of it that's both on purpose and also kind of organic, that just happens, that you see a kid that has that light inside of them and you sort of say, hey, would you like to help me with this project? Would you like to have a little bit of responsibility on your own? And that's something that was really paid forward for me. And now I feel really grateful for the fact that people saw inside of me this enthusiasm and this passion. And so then I was able to go forward.
Do you have any kind of a message or suggestion to youth or young adults that may want to follow in your path, or just a general message to people in the community?
I mean, I think one of the greatest lessons I've learned in my young adulthood is that sometimes you think you know what you're going to do, or the path that you're on, and something happens that changes that. And it can be really devastating. And, but that it's okay. First of all, it's okay to change your mind. And it's okay to say, oh, you know what? I really thought I wanted to do this. I really thought this was my passion or my direction, but I'm going to change it. And that could be like really a gift. And the experience of changing, or the experience of having a bad job, which, all of us have had a bad job, but the feeling of embracing that and kind of using it to help you with whatever you do next, that's something that I didn't feel it when I was 24 and going through it. But in retrospect, I really see how the challenging experiences I've had have really helped me become a better mom, become a better citizen, become a better employee, and that you don't have to know all the answers when you're 19 or whatever. It's okay.
How about when we're 57? Do we have to have all the answers?
No, I think it's never like, there's never a time where it's too late for you to course correct, or to jump off the edge and try something completely different. I think that's very brave and scary, but I also think it can be so life-giving. It can have amazing results.
Well, Shanna Bernier, I'd like to thank you for taking some time to speak with us today. And I think if there's more Shanna Berniers, spread throughout the world and the community, I think this place would be a better place to live. I think it's a great place to live, but it would be even better if we had a whole bunch of you, spread.
Well, feel free to come. I will show you the best bakery, best place to go for a walk.
I'll take you up on that. So Shanna Bernier, you're a support minister for youth and young adults at the United Church of Canada. And you're also the recipient of the 2021 Young Townships Leader Award. Congratulations for that. And congratulations for everything you do and the great contributions. And all I can say now is have a great day.
Thanks so much, Ed. You too.
Take care. You may know a townshipper aged 15 to 35 that's been making a difference either in their workplace, at school, or in the general community. If so, well, nominate them for this award. Now we're looking at the Young Townships Leader Award for 2022, and you can make a nomination at any time. So if you'd like some more information, please take a gander right down here in the video description. All the information is there. Now, if you found this video useful, please share and like it because, well, it really helps us spread the information and the news throughout the English communities of the townships. And you can also subscribe to Townshippers Association's YouTube channel, which in fact is where you can find all 48 episodes of this web series. My name is still Ed Humphrey. This is About Townshippers, and we'll see you next time.